morning, guys. Ariel and Burley behind me over here at Nyth, where we just got up, and now I want to fill up the wood stove. Right at the moment it's cold, at least cold enough to touch. Last had wood in about 9 hours ago. Get plenty of sleep at night, guys. That's one of the most important things you can do for your health. So I do not get up in the middle of the night to fill the stove at all. The house is still about 60 degrees in here, which is quite pleasant. There goes Burley to chew his bone in front of the camera. 60 degrees in here. It was in the 20s overnight, so not too crazy cold. It'll get a little colder in here overnight, you know, as the fire burns out, if it's, you know, way below zero, which happens. But that's fine. We're always very, very cozy in bed, and I don't mind just getting up and taking care of everything in the morning. So there's going to be some ash. I try to catch as much of it that wants to fall out the door as I can, just because the stove is so very tiny, and so it just gives you less room to work than a lot of things. Then I just use my awesome little custom fire box tool, which is just a stainless steel spoon that was originally a kitchen spoon. Now it's been dedicated to the wood stove for years. And I just try to, without making a lot of dust, scoop out any loose powdery ash that build up in here all through the day and overnight yesterday. If you have a much bigger stove, you probably don't have to scoop the ash out every day. I just have so little space in this stove anyway, and I burn some aspen, which makes a lot of kind of fluffy ash, so it's nice to give myself some extra space in the firebox by just getting rid of any extra. And since it's pretty cold in here, there might be one glowing coal in there, but it's pretty close to out. And I have this little thingy. If you go back to some of my original wood stove videos, you can see where I added that to help with the ventilation here. So I just lift that little plate up and scoop the ash away from the edges, so there's plenty of room for the water to ventilate. This is a little metal bucket that was originally, I believe, a dog food tin. I use it for scooping into here, and then the ash goes out into that stainless steel bucket outside, or the stainless steel trash can outside the front door, and then it's eventually becomes part of the yard and garden later on once the snow is melting. So that's that. Now I just have to build my fire. Start with, make a little kind of crosshatch design here. There's still a few bits of charcoal on the bottom there, which is perfectly fine. So I lay 3 logs with some space between them this way. I'm going to do 3 going the other way. Have to find some kind of smaller ones to be able to stack this when I first start it. Then I'm going to go back the first direction. So this is making nice little air gaps because fire needs oxygen, of course, to burn. And so I want to be sure that my fire can get oxygen when I light it up here. Now before I put my middle third tier in, I'm going to add some of my fire starter. This is just a Folgers coffee can from a friend who likes coffee. I never developed a taste for the stuff. And what is in here is sawdust. Just gonna sprinkle a little spoonful in there. Sawdust that has been soaked in diesel. If you need a good fire starter and you have access to free sawdust, I can get it from a local cabinet shop here with no problem to give me as many gigantic bags as I want. That works really well for starting fires. Diesel is not gasoline. Diesel is not as explosive as gasoline. And mix this up. My friend does it in his shop, actually. Just take like a 5-gallon bucket and fill it with sawdust. Pour some diesel over it. Let it soak till the wood chips or wood shavings, as you can see there, are kind of back to having an almost dry texture, but they are saturated, and so they're not going to explode, and the diesel will ignite, and the the wood will keep burning long enough to ignite bigger wood. So it's just, it's an easier way to get a hot fire going up this chimney really quick than trying to light newspapers and stuff. Because it is often so cold out here, if it's, you know, minus 25 outside in the morning and it's still 55 in here, that's a pretty big temperature difference, and that makes it, you want to get a hot fire going and air drawing up your chimney when it's cold down to get it started. So there I've got my little cross hatch of logs going this way and then this way and the back and the back. So I'm just going to light it up. Lights right up, as you can see there. Close the door. Just take this back outside because look at this. You can see it because of what I just mentioned about the pressure. It's going to smoke there. When I'm not filming a video, I do that more instantly or even leave it open a crack. I just want enough, I don't want to create a vacuum. It's apparently bumping the camera. And when that door is sealed, even with there's 3 windows open in the house right now, this house is sealed tight enough that that first initial lighting, the easiest place for smoke to draw is back into the house instead of out the chimney. Now, after 2 seconds, you can see it's drawing up the chimney, no problem. And that is all I do to light the stove. And I have little bits of ash around here. This is not a wood hearth, even though it looks like wood. These are tile. So even if I had a hot coal, which I don't, fall out, that is not going to be a problem there. That's why that's set up that way. And in just a minute or two, you see that little fan on top start to turn as the flames get hot. Let's see if we can show you the flames. Oh, it's not drafting quite strong enough yet to open the door and not get smoke. As soon as the chimney gets hot, and that's why I like that fire starter, then it draws really well up there, but everything is cold right now from having been burned out. Other questions. Lots of people ask me, where did I get this stove? What stove is it? How can you get one? You can't, as far as I know. This stove is a gray mini cubic 12 gray fireworks. It was made by a small family welding business, and as far as I know, they are no longer in operation. So I don't believe, unless you can find a secondhand one, I don't believe that there's anywhere to source this particular stove. I do know of some similar ones. I'm content with this stove, but I kind of wish I had one of them now, because I'd love to have something to direct you guys to that I have personal experience with that's currently available to be purchased. But I don't. This is the one I have personal experience with, and they're no longer manufactured. So the closest ones I know of that I do not have personal experience with, but that are very similar, and this is called a cubic 12 because the outside diameters are a 12-inch square. On the inside is about 8 inches in the firebox, so I cut my chunks of wood to be 7.5 inches long so that I can get them in there. That gives me a 1/4 inch wiggle room on either side to have my cuts a bit off or to adjust my wood stacking in there. And so that's pretty small. That's one of the reasons it burns out if you go to sleep for 9 hours. But it is plenty of burning to sufficiently heat this house. You've probably noticed I do have a sweatshirt on at the moment because, like I said, we just crawled out of bed and the house is a little bit chillier than I really want to be in a tank top in the morning. But give it an hour and I'll be back to a tank top because this makes it hot, and I don't mind that at all. So that's no issue. If I had a bigger stove, it would burn longer, but it would take up more space, it would need more clearances, and it would make the house so blazing hot that just wouldn't be worth it. So similar sized stoves, I know of there's a little one called the Hobbit. I believe these are both manufactured in Europe, but you can sometimes get them in the States. There's some dealers here depending where you live. The Hobbit, which is very similar size, similar styled stove. There's, I don't know how their name is correctly pronounced, Morso or Moroso or something like that, Squirrel. It's, there you can see the fan starting up, because that means the metal has gotten hot enough to create its own electrical current there. I got a little video on my non-electric fan. Well, you don't plug it in, it makes its own electricity. Anyway, The Squirrel, that is another very similar size, similar styled little model. And then there is one called, I think it's a Shetland High Flame, that is available through Amazon, I know, in the States. I'm not sure where else it's available. That is, again, a very similar style. It's a little bit narrow, but then a little taller and deeper, but the overall dimensions are pretty similar to mine. And again, I have no personal experience with any of those. I really, really wish I did, because I like to recommend products that I've actually used for years and can speak with some experience on the pros and cons of them. But since this is one I have and I can't tell you anywhere to buy it, that's the best options I know of. Down below under the show more, I'll try to link to those 3 different stoves if you want to check those out. One I get asked about a lot is there's a, what's the name? There's a Grizzly and a Cub little tiny stoves that are manufactured in Canada, I believe. They are even, I think the Grizzly is about this size or a hair smaller, and the Cub's even smaller than that. I have had friends who have put them in boats and vans and such, and people often recommend them because they are pretty expensive. They're really thin. I think they're great for particular applications. They're not what I would want in my tiny house for full-time heating, especially in a place where it's cold for a lot of the year, so I spend a lot of the year heating. They're a thinner metal, and so they don't retain any heat basically the minute the stove starts to cool down. And being an even smaller firebox, my closest friend who had one, his experience was he would be uncomfortably hot for 2 hours and then he would be freezing. It was just very little balance there. So I think for this kind of application, they're a little too small. Now, if you live in a tiny house and you live somewhere where you're only trying to warm up a few nights a year when it gets a little chilly, and where you don't have 7-foot, solid snowpack for months and months, those might work really well if you just want to light a fire in the evening, take the chill off, let it go out anyway, you don't care. But if you're heating where it's consistently winter for months and months and months, and where there's lots of snow, where it's below 0 for weeks on end. I think it was -12 again the night before, and then it warmed up and snowed a few more inches. That's why it was only in the 20s last night, but the night before it was very cold. Then I think you're going to find those stoves will be as nice as they look and as inexpensive as they are. I don't think they will quite do an adequate job of heating your house from my experience. So there you can see the flame burning. Oh, people ask me how I clean the glass. I don't. You can see it's got a blackish spot right here and right here right now. But just as the flames burn, the flame washer in the front, it'll burn it off. And if a log rolls against the window, it'll make a new black spot there. And then when that burns down, it'll burn it off again. Anyway, I let the fire clean it off. I don't clean up the window. I don't do anything with that at all. And then I do get my little dustpan and sweep up my bits of bark and ash and such that fall off. So that is my current stove update, because I get questions about this all the time, and especially what is it and where can I buy it. So that is the best answer I have for that question. And this is just our normal routine. Get up in the morning, light the wood stove up. Like I said, in an hour or so the house will be back to probably being 80 degrees in here, and I'll open the windows wider. But again, I'm always cozy overnight. If you've seen the sleeping loft video, you know I've got lots of cozy blankets. Burley sleeps on the foot of the bed, on top of the blankets, because otherwise he'd be way too hot. I sleep under them. And anyway, we're both very cozy all night, and so it's no issue when we wake up and the stove is out. Burley's tail is getting in the way of your viewing ability. There we go. Hopefully that answers your stove questions. If I missed something, ask me down below and I will do my best to figure out an answer for you. Stay warm, guys. Hi folks, Ariel over here. Thanks for spending some of your valuable time watching these videos. Hopefully you found something beautiful, educational, interesting, peaceful, relaxing, or useful while you were here. If so, find more videos here, subscribe so you don't miss any updates, and if you like what you found here, feel free to like and share away so that others can benefit as well. You all have a wonderful day.